Well, hello folks. Welcome to the overview for week 6. So this week is actually going to be our final level of interventions. So for the past few weeks, we have looked at those OD interventions that are aimed at the individual level. Last week we looked at the interventions that are aimed at the team level. And then now we're going to look at those interventions that are really aimed at the organization level. In some ways, these interventions may actually be a little bit tougher to kind of wrap your head around. I think most people are probably most familiar with what we covered last week around team interventions. So some of this material may actually be a bit new to you. For that reason, I decided to share just kind of a clip on this thing called future search. Oftentimes that seems like a strange thing to do. And so I just sort of shared a clip of how that's used, not just in organizations, but how it's actually used with communities. That's just one, but frankly, you could probably find a nice YouTube clip illustrating just about any of the interventions that are introduced this week. So you might do that if you're having a hard time kind of understanding what that is just by reading the page. You might just go on YouTube and actually kind of put that search in. You'd be surprised what you find and might have a better sense of how something like that can be used. Because these kinds of interventions oftentimes require really focusing on the whole organization, you don't really get to do these all that often, even though I think they're kind of fascinating things to do. And so once again, they're a little bit less familiar than some of the other interventions. But nonetheless, they're important interventions, especially when, the kind of change that you need to be more transformational. Perhaps the organization is not doing as well, or maybe it's doing well, but you can foresee that, maybe you're in an industry or you're in a market that's going to be pretty obsolete down the road. And so you want to kind of cast your vision out a little bit, anticipate some changes and start making those changes, which, by the way, the best way to do this. This class is really more about plan change than about sort of crisis change. But oftentimes, these kind of interventions are probably driven more by crisis, perhaps, than planning on that part. So once again, I hope that you enjoy the material that you're looking at. Once again, I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of artifacts you come up with. So make sure you don't forget to list your artifact, comment on the case study, and looking forward to reading your journaling. Okay? So you folks have a great one.